Welcome to the deep dive. This time you've really given us a challenge.
Yep.
A whole textbook on AI for IT operations,
Mhm.
plus like a stack of research papers.
Oh, yeah.
So we're gonna go deep on this one and really try to understand how AI is changing the IT landscape and what that means for all of you out there.
You know what's really cool about this textbook?
Yeah.
I think, especially the one by SHRUTI, TYAGI, and SWAPNIL, SAURAV,
Yeah.
is that
Yeah.
they don't just talk about all this really complex stuff. They
Yeah.
actually explain it in a way that anyone can get.
Yeah.
It's really impressive.
Yeah. But let's jump into this.
Hmm.
The textbook starts off, by taking us on this journey through the
Mhm.
history of IT operations, right? And believe it or not, it's actually way more interesting than it sounds.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Remember the days when everything was manual in IT?
Yeah.
Someone literally running around plugging cables in and restarting servers?
Yeah. Those servers were probably a lot simpler
Oh, yeah.
than even a basic cloud setup we see today.
Right.
I mean, think about it. Modern IT systems.
Yeah.
They're like these massive, sprawling cities.
Yeah.
We're talking multi-cloud environments,
Right.
real-time demands,
Mhm.
constant updates.
Yeah.
The traditional approaches,
Yeah.
they just can't keep up.
No.
They just break down.
So the old way of doing things is struggling.
Definitely.
But where does AI actually fit into all of this?
Well, one of the biggest things that all these sources kind of emphasize
Right.
is this shift from reactive IT to proactive IT.
Okay.
So instead of just waiting for problems to happen and then scrambling to fix them.
Right, just fighting fires all the
Mhm.
time.
Yeah, exactly. Fighting fires all the time. We're actually trying to use AI to prevent those fires in the first place.
Oh, wow.
The textbook tells this great story about this company
Yeah.
that used to spend a fortune on emergency server replacements.
Oh, yeah.
But then they started using AI to actually predict when hard drives were going to fail.
Wow.
And they went from, constantly having downtime and, freaking out trying to fix things
Right.
to actually replacing parts before they even caused a problem.
So instead of calling the plumber after the pipe bursts,
Yeah.
you're using AI to fix those leaky pipes
Yeah.
before they cause a flood.
That's a great analogy.
Right.
And, this data-driven approach,
Yeah.
it's not just about saving headaches.
Right.
It's about better efficiency,
Yeah.
more reliability,
Mm-hmm.
smoother performance overall.
Right.
And it even opens up the door to some really cool innovations.
Yeah.
But how do we actually make sense of all this data that these systems are generating? Well, that's where machine learning really steps in.
All right. So let's talk about machine learning.
Yeah.
The textbook talks about, supervised learning,
Mm-hmm.
unsupervised learning,
Right.
reinforcement learning.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot to take in.
Yeah, it is.
So can you break it down for us a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. So think of supervised learning,
Okay.
like teaching a computer to recognize patterns.
Okay.
So you give it a ton of labeled data,
Yeah.
like examples of servers that crash,
Right.
servers that didn't crash, and it learns to predict future crashes.
Okay.
It's kind of like teaching a dog a trick.
Okay.
You show it what to do, you reward it when it's right,
Yeah.
and eventually it gets it.
So it's learning from experience,
Yeah.
but at super speed.
Exactly.
What about unsupervised learning?
Okay, so unsupervised learning is more like giving the computer a puzzle
Okay.
and letting it figure out how the pieces fit together on its own.
Okay.
So say you have this massive amount of network traffic data.
Right.
An unsupervised learning algorithm can sift through that data
Yeah.
and group similar patterns together.
Okay.
And that can be really useful for things like spotting unusual activity,
Right.
like a sudden surge in traffic
Yeah.
from a suspicious IP address.
So it's like finding those hidden connections
Yeah.
that we humans might miss.
Exactly.
Okay. And then there's reinforcement learning.
Yeah, reinforcement learning.
So what's that all about?
It's kind of like teaching a computer to play a game.
Okay.
So it tries different actions,
Yeah.
gets rewards for good moves,
Mm-hmm.
penalties for bad moves, and over time, it learns to play the game better and better.
Wow.
And this is really great for optimizing things.
Okay.
Like finding the perfect configuration for cloud resources
Right.
to maximize performance
Yeah.
and minimize cost.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it is.
But let's get practical.
Okay.
The textbook is full of examples of how machine learning is already being used in IT.
Mm-hmm.
And one that really stood out to me was predicting system downtime.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So imagine knowing when a server is about to crash
Yeah.
before it actually happens.
Yeah, it's like having a crystal ball
Right.
for your IT infrastructure.
Exactly.
And the textbook really goes deep on this.
Yeah?
And it talks about how historical data,
Hmm.
all those little digital breadcrumbs that your systems leave behind,
Right.
can be used to train models that can anticipate failures.
So
Okay.
it's like they're saying that machine learning can actually forecast
Mm-hmm.
like those CPU spikes
Yeah.
that often signal that a server is about to crash.
Right.
And then you could actually schedule maintenance
Yeah.
before anything goes wrong.
It's like having a mechanic who can hear that little knocking sound in your engine
Right.
before it blows up.
Yeah.
So you can get it fixed.
Exactly.
But predicting downtime,
Okay.
that's really just the tip of the iceberg.
Okay.
We can also use machine learning for anomaly detection.
Anomaly detection. That sounds pretty sci-fi.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Basically, it's about training algorithms
Okay.
to spot these tiny deviations
Yeah.
from normal patterns in real-time data.
Okay.
So imagine like a security camera.
Yeah.
They can tell the difference between someone just walking by
Hmm.
and someone trying to break into your house.
Right.
That's anomaly detection in action.
Okay. That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
So what kind of real-world examples
Okay, so they describe,
did they give in the textbook?
they describe how anomaly detection could actually prevent a major security breach.
Oh, wow.
So let's say your system suddenly gets flooded with failed login attempts
Right.
from like a suspicious IP address.
Mm-hmm.
An anomaly detection system
Yeah.
could pick up on that right away,
Oh,
potentially before any real damage is done.
so it's like having a super-powered security guard
Oh,
who's always on high alert.
Exactly. But it's not just
Yeah.
about security.
Okay.
Anomaly detection can also be really helpful for performance monitoring. So let's say you're monitoring a web application.
Yeah.
And suddenly the error rate spikes
Hmm.
or response times plummet.
Yeah.
Anomaly detection can alert you to that problem
Yeah.
before it impacts your users.
So we're talking about, predicting crashes,
Yeah,
spotting weird behavior.
right.
But what happens when something actually goes wrong?
That's where root cause analysis comes in.
Okay.
And the textbook really highlights
Yeah.
how AI can take this detective work
Yeah.
to a whole new level.
Right.
It's like having a detective that can rewind time,
Yeah.
examine every single detail,
Mm-hmm.
and reconstruct exactly what happened.
Yeah. It's really amazing how AI can
Yeah.
make sense of all that messy log data and find the culprit.
Yeah. So the textbook describe how machine learning can actually categorize logs
Okay.
into these specific failure types, like
Mhm.
network failure,
Right.
disk failure, and so on.
Okay.
And this helps IT teams quickly zero in on the root cause and get those systems back online faster.
Right.
They give this example of a company's website suddenly crashing,
Oh, yeah.
and their AI-powered system
Mm-hmm.
analyzed all the logs from the web server, the database,
Yeah.
the network, and it quickly identified the root cause.
Okay.
It was a faulty network switch,
Wow.
and they were able to fix it,
Yeah.
get the website back up and running.
So it's like AI is turning those cryptic error messages
Yeah,
into plain English.
exactly.
Okay, so we've got,
Yeah.
predicting downtimes,
Yeah.
spotting anomalies,
Right.
analyzing the root cause of problems.
Mhm.
But what about security?
Oh, yeah, security is huge.
Yeah, it seems like the bad guys are always one step ahead.
They are.
So how can AI help us stay ahead of the curve?
Well, the textbook has a whole section
Okay.
on how AI can really help us with security
Okay.
and, cyber attacks.
Yeah,
They're becoming more and more sophisticated.
they are.
But AI can provide a really powerful defense. One technique they talk about is behavioral analytics,
Yeah?
which is all about understanding what normal behavior looks like on your systems,
Right.
and then flagging anything that deviates from that pattern.
So it's like having an AI bodyguard
Yeah.
who's constantly watching your back
Mm-hmm.
and can spot those little signs of trouble.
Exactly. They give this example
Yeah.
where a user suddenly starts accessing sensitive files
Okay.
at 3 a.m.,
Right.
which is something they've never done before.
Right.
And so the behavioral analytics system would pick up on that
Right.
unusual activity,
Yeah.
alert the security team,
Mm-hmm.
and potentially prevent a data breach.
It's incredible how AI can learn those patterns
Yeah, it is.
and help us stay ahead of the bad guys.
It is.
But with AI becoming so powerful,
Mm-hmm.
what does this mean for the future
Yeah,
of IT professionals?
right.
Are we all going to be replaced by robots?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the textbook actually doesn't paint a picture of
Yeah.
robots taking over.
Oh,
It's more about humans and AI working together,
right.
each playing to their strengths.
Okay.
And they talk about these new AI ops platforms,
Yeah.
which bring all these AI-powered tools and insights together in one place.
So it's like having a mission control center
Yeah.
for IT operations where
Right.
you can see everything that's happening,
Hmm.
predict problems before they arise,
Yeah.
even get suggestions on how to fix them.
It's amazing.
It is.
And it's really about empowering IT professionals
Yeah.
with the tools and information they need
Right.
to manage these increasingly complex systems.
Yeah.
So imagine automating those routine tasks,
Right.
focusing on strategic projects,
Mm-hmm.
responding to issues before they become major headaches,
Right.
all with the help of AI.
Right.
It's a pretty exciting vision of the future.
Yeah. It definitely sounds like we're on the verge of a major shift in how IT works.
I think so.
And this is already a lot to digest,
It is.
but I'm really eager to dive into those research papers that you mentioned.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see what kind of cutting-edge research is happening in this field.
Absolutely.
So are you ready to tackle one of these papers?
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's see what these researchers have uncovered.
Okay, so we're back and ready to dive into some of those research papers that you sent our way.
Yeah.
In part one, we kind of covered the basics of AI and IT, but I'm ready to get into the nitty-gritty now.
Okay, let's do it.
So what kind of cutting-edge research is happening out there?
Well, one of the papers that really caught my eye focuses on this idea of contextual anomaly detection.
Okay.
And it's fascinating because it really highlights how important it is to look at the bigger picture
Yeah.
when you're analyzing IT data.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
What exactly is contextual anomaly detection?
So-
It sounds like, those crime dramas where the detectives have to
yeah.
understand the context of the crime to solve the case.
It's very similar, actually.
Okay.
It's all about understanding that an anomaly isn't just like a data point
Okay.
that's out of the ordinary.
Right.
You really need to consider the why behind it,
Yeah.
the circumstances that might make it important.
Right.
So like an event that might seem totally normal
Yeah.
in one situation
Mhm.
could be a huge red flag
Okay.
in another.
So a spike in website traffic might be normal
Exactly.
during a big sale.
Yep.
But if it happens in the middle of the night, that's suspicious.
That's when you worry.
Right.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
So the paper actually uses this example of monitoring disk usage on a server.
Okay.
Disk usage can fluctuate a lot
Right.
depending on what's happening.
Yeah, if someone's running a big backup job,
Exactly.
that could use a lot of disk space.
Exactly. So seeing a sudden spike in disk usage
Yeah.
might not always be a problem.
Okay.
But what if that spike happens at 3 a.m.
Right.
when no one's supposed to be using the server?
No, that's suspicious. It's like seeing someone lurking around your house in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Suddenly that spike in disk usage
Right.
becomes much more concerning.
Right. It could be a sign of malware.
Right. It could be malware.
It's data breach.
Data breach.
Something malicious going on.
Exactly. The context makes all the difference.
Okay, so how does this paper propose we actually approach this
Right.
contextual anomaly detection?
Yeah, it sounds complex,
Yeah.
and it can be, but the research team basically suggests combining a few powerful techniques.
Okay.
So we're talking about things like time series analysis,
Okay.
which looks at patterns over time, and clustering,
Okay.
which groups similar events together.
Right.
And this helps create a more nuanced understanding
Yeah.
of what normal actually looks like
Right.
for a specific system.
So it's like having an AI detective
Yeah.
who can analyze both the timeline of events
Mm-hmm.
and the similarities between them
Right.
to spot anything that's truly out of place.
Exactly. That's a great way to put it.
Okay, so what are the advantages of using this kind of approach?
Well, one big advantage is that it's more adaptable.
Okay.
So IT systems are constantly changing,
Right.
and this approach actually adjusts its definition of normal
Okay.
as the system evolves.
So it doesn't get stuck
Exactly.
flagging events that are no longer relevant.
Right. It's like having a security system that learns
Mm.
and updates itself
Right.
as your house gets remodeled.
Exactly.
It's also more accurate
Okay.
because it reduces false positives.
Okay.
So by considering the context,
Mm-hmm.
it can filter out those normal fluctuations
Right.
that might trigger an alarm in a traditional system.
So less noise,
Less noise,
more signal.
more signal.
That's always good.
Exactly. And there's one more thing.
Okay.
This approach can also help uncover those really sneaky anomalies
Okay.
that might fly under the radar with traditional methods.
Right.
So by analyzing data over time
Yeah.
and in context,
Mm-hmm.
you can start to see those subtle shifts in behavior.
Right. That could indicate that a problem is brewing.
It's like finding that tiny crack in a bridge
Yeah.
before it collapses.
Exactly.
Okay, this all sounds great in theory,
Yeah.
but how do we actually implement this
Right.
in the real world?
Well, the paper actually outlines a step-by-step process.
Okay.
So first you need to gather and prepare your log data.
Okay.
Make sure it's clean and relevant to the analysis.
Mm-hmm.
Then they recommend using something called word embedding.
Word embedding.
Yeah.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, it's basically like translating those cryptic log messages
Okay.
into a numerical format
Right.
that AI algorithms can understand.
So it's like translating those messages
Yeah.
into a language that our AI detective can decipher.
Exactly. And that there are different word embedding models to choose from,
Okay.
each with their own strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
It's about finding the right tool for the job.
Right.
Next, you apply a clustering algorithm.
Okay.
Something like K means clustering.
To group those numerical representations of the log messages together
Right.
based on their similarities.
So it's like sorting those messages into different piles
Yeah.
based on what they're talking,
Which I
just like you
see.
do with physical mail.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
the cool thing is that these piles or clusters,
Yeah.
they can actually change over time as the system behavior evolves.
Okay.
So it's a very dynamic process.
Okay, so we've parsed those logs,
Yeah.
transformed them into numbers,
Mm-hmm.
grouped them into categories.
Right.
What's the next step in this AI detective work?
Then comes the time series analysis.
Okay.
So you analyze how the number of messages in each cluster
Yeah.
changes over time.
Mm-hmm.
And this helps you identify anomalies, like a sudden spike in messages related to a particular system component.
It's like seeing which piles are suddenly getting bigger
Hmm.
and which ones are staying the same.
Exactly.
But how do we know if those changes are significant?
That's a great
Or
question.
just like normal fluctuation?
Right, so that's where forecasting
Okay.
and confidence intervals come in.
Okay.
So you use forecasting algorithms to predict
Yeah.
how many messages you'd expect to see
Mm-hmm.
in each cluster
Right.
based on historical patterns.
Mm-hmm.
And then you use confidence intervals to define
Uh-huh.
what counts as a normal fluctuation.
Right.
Anything that falls outside of that range
Yep. Yeah.
is flagged as an anomaly.
Okay. So it's like setting up a fence
Yeah.
around what's considered normal.
Right.
Anything that jumps that fence is suspicious.
Exactly. That's a great analogy.
Okay, so this all sounds very sophisticated,
It is.
but does it actually work in practice?
Well, the researchers actually tested their method on a real-world data set
Oh, wow.
from an IT system.
Okay.
And they were able to detect a wide range of anomalies,
Okay.
both obvious ones
Mm-hmm.
and subtle ones
Okay.
that might have been missed with traditional methods.
Wow.
So their approach proved to be adaptable,
Okay.
sensitive,
Mm-hmm.
and highly effective
Yeah.
at finding those hidden problems.
So this isn't just some theoretical idea.
Nope.
This is something that can actually make a difference
Real-world impact.
in real-world IT environments.
Exactly.
It's really exciting to see this kind of research happening.
It is.
And, it's a great example
Sure.
of how AI is being used to tackle some of those tough challenges in IT operations.
Absolutely. And this is just one
Yeah.
of the many exciting areas of research
Right.
happening in AI for IT.
Right.
There's a whole world of possibilities waiting to
Yeah.
be explored.
Okay, so we've gone deep on anomaly detection.
We have.
And I'm curious now to see how AI is being used to tackle
Right?
another big challenge in IT,
All right.
log analysis.
Log analysis, yeah.
I mean, it's one of those tasks that can really feel like
It can.
drowning in a sea of data.
Absolutely. Log analysis is definitely one of those necessary evils in IT.
It is.
It's where you try to figure out what went wrong
Yeah.
after a system crashes, or search for clues after a security breach.
Right.
But with the sheer volume of logs generated by modern systems,
Yeah.
manual analysis is just not feasible anymore.
It's like trying to find a needle in a haystack,
It is.
except the haystack is constantly growing.
Right, exactly.
So how can AI help us make sense of all of that data?
Well, the sources that we're looking at
Yeah.
really highlight how machine learning can transform this really tedious process
Okay.
into a really powerful tool
All right.
for proactive IT operations.
Okay.
So we're talking about automating the analysis,
Mm-hmm.
extracting valuable insights from those logs,
Okay.
and even predicting potential problems before they occur.
Okay, that sounds promising.
Yeah.
But before we get to the AI magic,
Right.
can we take a step back
Sure.
and just talk about like the basics of log analysis?
Right.
What are we actually dealing with here?
So logs are essentially like the digital breadcrumbs of your systems.
Okay.
They record every user login,
Okay.
every file access, system error,
Yeah.
network connection,
Right.
everything that happens.
So it's like having a security camera
It is.
that records every single event
Yeah,
in a busy city.
that's a great way to put it.
So how do we even begin to make sense of all that information?
Well, traditionally, log analysis involved manually searching through those logs
Right.
for keywords or patterns.
Mm,
That might indicate a problem,
yeah.
but as you can imagine,
Yeah.
this is incredibly time-consuming,
Yes.
error-prone,
Yeah.
especially when you're dealing with millions of log entries.
No wonder IT professionals often feel overwhelmed.
Yeah, it's like trying to read a library's worth of books
Yeah.
in a single day,
Exactly.
and that's where machine learning comes in.
Okay.
It offers a way to automate that process,
Mm-hmm.
make it more efficient,
Yeah.
and discover insights that would be impossible to find manually.
Okay.
One of the key techniques they discuss is log classification.
Log classification, that sounds intriguing.
It is.
What exactly does that mean?
So it's all about training algorithms
Right.
to categorize log messages
Okay.
into these meaningful groups.
Right.
So, for example, you could train an algorithm to differentiate between logs,
Okay.
indicating a network failure, a disk failure,
Right.
an application error, and so on.
Okay.
It's like having an AI assistant
Yeah.
who can read those cryptic log messages
Right. You're right.
and sort them into neat piles
Right.
based on their content.
So instead of sifting through a jumbled mess of messages,
Exactly.
we have AI sorting them into like organized folders.
Exactly. That's a great analogy.
That sounds much more manageable.
It is. And this ability to accurately classify logs
Yeah.
is a game changer for IT teams.
Right.
It allows them to focus on the actual root cause of a problem
Mm-hmm.
instead of getting lost in a sea of data.
Right.
The sources that we're looking at
Yeah.
really dive deep into how this works in practice.
Okay.
And they mention different algorithms that are particularly well suited for this task.
Okay. What kind of algorithms are we talking about?
So one common algorithm is logistic regression.
Logistic regression.
Yeah, it's a classic machine learning algorithm
Okay.
that's really great for classification tasks.
Mm-hmm.
And in the context of log analysis,
Yeah.
you can train a logistic regression model to predict the category of a log message
Okay.
based on its content.
So for instance, if you have a log message that says
Right.
error connection timed out,
Okay.
the model could analyze that message
Yeah.
and predict that it belongs to the network failure category.
Exactly. It's like having an AI translator
Right.
that can understand those technical error messages
Yeah.
and tell us what they actually mean.
Yeah, exactly.
What other algorithms are commonly used for this?
Okay.
So another powerful algorithm that they mention
Yeah.
is random forest.
Random forest, it sounds like something out of a fairy tale.
I know it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's actually an ensemble learning method, which means it combines multiple decision trees
Okay.
to make its predictions.
So it's like having a team of experts,
Yeah.
each with their own perspective,
Right.
coming together to solve the case.
That's a great way to think about it.
Okay, so we have these powerful algorithms.
Yeah.
We train them on our log data.
Mhm.
And then
All right.
how do we actually use them to analyze logs
Right.
and gain valuable insights?
Well, that's where visualization comes in.
Okay.
Visualization is all about taking those data insights and turning them into something that humans can easily understand and interpret.
Okay.
It's about converting numbers and statistics
Right.
into charts, graphs, and dashboards that tell a story.
So it's like taking those raw ingredients
Yeah.
and turning them into a delicious meal
Exactly.
that we can actually digest.
Exactly. That's a great analogy.
Okay.
And the sources highlight some really useful visualization techniques for log analysis.
Okay. Like what?
So one common technique is the confusion matrix.
Confusion matrix.
Yeah, it's basically a table
Okay.
that shows you how well your model's performing
Okay.
in terms of correctly classifying different types of log messages.
So it's like a scorecard for our AI detective,
It is.
showing us how many cases they solve correctly
Yeah.
and where they make mistakes.
Exactly. Another helpful tool is the feature importance plot.
Okay.
And this reveals which aspects of the log messages
Yeah.
are most important for making accurate classifications.
So it's like seeing what clues our AI detective is focusing on
Yeah.
when they're solving a case.
Exactly. By understanding which features are most important,
Mm-hmm.
you gain insights into the underlying patterns in your systems.
Okay.
And it's not just about automating the analysis.
Right.
It's about using AI to develop a deeper understanding
Okay.
of how your systems are behaving.
So we're not just trying to fix problems faster.
No.
We're actually trying to prevent those problems from
Right.
happening in the first place.
That's a big shift in thinking. And the research that we're looking at
Yeah.
is really pushing the boundaries
Right.
of what's possible with AI-powered log analysis.
Yeah.
It's an exciting area with a lot of potential
Yeah.
to transform IT operations.
This is incredible. We've covered anomaly detection,
We have.
log analysis. It's clear that AI is becoming like an indispensable tool for
Yeah.
IT professionals.
It is.
And we're just scratching the surface.
We are.
AI is changing the game in IT.
It is.
And it's only going to become more important in the years to come.
Absolutely.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground in part 2.
We have.
And I'm eager to explore what the future holds for this exciting field.
Yeah.
So are you ready to wrap things up in part 3?
Let's do it. Let's dive into the future of AI for IT operations.
Okay, so we're back for the final part of our deep dive into AI for IT operations.
Yeah.
And, you know, we've gone through the history of the different types of AI, some fascinating research. And now I'm ready to see how it's all playing out in the real world.
Okay.
What kind of case studies do we have?
Well, one that really stood out to me
Yeah.
involves this major online retailer, you know, the kinds that we all rely on for our next day delivery fix.
Oh, yeah.
And they were battling this classic e-commerce headache,
Yeah.
website performance issues.
I've been there.
Oh, yeah.
Slow loading times, error messages. I
Yeah.
mean, those things can be a real deal breaker
Totally.
for online shoppers.
And for this retailer,
Yeah.
it was directly impacting their bottom line.
Right.
Customers were abandoning their carts.
Yeah.
Bounce rates were through the roof. Their reputation was taking a hit.
Yeah, it's amazing how quickly those negative reviews can pile up.
They do.
So what did they do to fix it?
Well, they tried everything.
Okay.
I mean, they optimized their code. They upgraded their servers.
Yeah.
They tweaked their network infrastructure.
Right.
But nothing seemed to completely solve the problem. They were stuck in this endless loop of reacting to issues
Yeah.
instead of preventing them.
It sounds like they were drowning in a sea of technical problems.
Yeah, they were.
So,
And that's when they decided to try an AI ops solution.
okay.
They implemented this platform
Yeah.
that combined real-time monitoring
Okay.
with machine learning-powered anomaly detection.
So it was like having an AI watchdog
Yeah.
constantly scanning their systems for anything unusual.
Exactly. And within days,
Wow.
the AI ops platform started picking up on these strange patterns.
Okay.
And it turned out that a specific type of database query,
Okay.
one that was triggered by a new feature they had rolled out, was causing these intermittent slowdowns
Oh, wow.
across the entire website.
So it was like a hidden bug that was
Yeah.
only causing trouble under certain conditions?
Exactly. And because it was so intermittent,
Right.
it would have been incredibly difficult to track down
Yeah.
using traditional methods.
It's amazing how AI can see those subtle connections that we humans often miss.
It really is.
So what happened?
Well, the AI's platform not only identified the problem,
Okay.
but it also suggested ways to fix it.
Wow. So it was like having an AI consultant
Yeah,
working alongside their IT team.
exactly.
Ooh.
They were able to quickly optimize that database query,
Okay.
and the performance issues vanished.
Happy customers.
Happy customers.
Happy retailers.
Happy retailers.
Happy ending.
Happy ending.
It's a great example of how AI can really help solve those real-world business problems
Yeah,
and even boost the bottom line.
absolutely. What other case studies stood out to you?
Well, one that I found really fascinating involved a financial institution.
Oh, okay.
You know, the folks who handle our hard-earned cash.
Right.
And obviously security is a top priority
Oh, huge.
in that industry.
Yeah, they were prime target for
Right.
cyber criminals.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what kind of security challenges were they facing?
They were facing this growing threat from increasingly sophisticated cyber attacks.
Yeah.
And their traditional security tools were struggling to keep up.
So they needed a more advanced defense system.
They did.
What did they do?
So they decided to implement an AI ops solution that focused on behavioral analytics.
Okay. Behavioral analytics.
Remember, that's all about establishing a baseline
Right.
of what normal behavior looks like on your systems, and then flagging anything
Right.
that deviates from that pattern.
It's like having an AI security guard
Yeah.
who knows everyone who's supposed to be in the building
Mm-hmm.
and can spot anyone who's acting suspicious.
Exactly.
Right.
So in this case, they use behavioral analytics
Okay.
to monitor user activity across their entire network.
Okay.
The system learned the typical patterns of behavior
Right.
for different types of users,
Mm-hmm.
loan officers, customer service reps,
Yeah.
IT administrators.
Right.
And if a user's behavior suddenly changed significantly,
Yeah.
the system would flag it as a potential security risk.
So they had this AI system that was constantly learning and adapting
Yeah, it was constantly learning.
to new patterns of behavior.
Yep.
Did they actually catch any bad guys using this?
They did.
Really?
Within weeks of implementing the system,
Wow.
it flagged an account that was showing some really suspicious activity.
Okay.
And the account belonged to a junior IT administrator,
Okay.
someone who normally wouldn't have access to very sensitive data.
So someone who shouldn't have been snooping around
Exactly.
where they didn't belong.
But this administrator's account
Yeah.
was suddenly accessing customer financial records,
Oh, wow.
transaction logs,
Oh.
all sorts of confidential information.
Red alert.
Yeah, that's a clear sign that something's wrong.
Yeah.
So the security team investigated,
Okay.
and they discovered that the administrator's credentials had been compromised.
Oh.
Someone had gained access to their account
Yeah.
and was using it to steal sensitive data,
Wow.
potentially even transfer funds.
That could have been a disaster.
It could have been, it's like something out of a spy movie.
It is.
But thankfully, they were able to catch the attacker in the act,
Wow.
prevent any major damage,
That's incredible.
all thanks to the AI-powered security system.
That's an amazing story.
It is.
It really shows how AI can be a game changer when it comes to security.
Absolutely.
You know, it's not just about reacting to breaches.
No.
It's about proactively identifying threats
Right.
before they can cause real harm.
Exactly. AI ops is about shifting from a reactive security posture
Mhm.
to a proactive one,
Right.
where you're constantly looking for threats
Yeah.
and taking steps to mitigate them before they can escalate.
Okay, so we've seen how AI ops can tackle performance issues,
Mhm.
security threats, even help us predict failures before they happen.
Right.
It's a pretty powerful set of tools.
It is.
But you mentioned earlier that, AI ops isn't a magic bullet.
Right.
So what are some of the challenges
Yeah.
that organizations need to consider?
Okay, so one of the biggest challenges is the need for a strategic approach.
Okay.
It's not just about buying a fancy AI ops platform
Right.
and hoping for the best.
Right. You need a plan.
You need a plan.
Yeah.
You need to understand your specific needs,
Mm-hmm.
choose the right tools and technologies,
Yeah.
and build up your team's skills and expertise.
So it's like any major technology implementation.
Yeah.
You need a plan.
You need a plan.
What kind of guidance do the sources offer for organizations that are maybe just starting out?
Okay, so the textbook actually provides a really helpful framework
Okay.
for getting started with AI ops.
Okay.
And it emphasizes starting small,
Okay.
focusing on specific use cases, and gradually expanding your capabilities
Right.
as your team gains experience and confidence.
So it's like learning to walk before you can run.
Exactly.
Right.
And the sources also stress the importance of collaboration,
Okay.
both between the IT team and the AI experts,
Yeah.
and between different teams within the IT organization.
Right.
Operations security development.
Yeah. Everyone needs to be on board.
Everyone needs to be on board because AI ops is about breaking down those silos
Right.
and creating a more integrated approach
Mhm.
to IT management.
Yeah. It's about bringing everyone together to solve problems.
Exactly.
Create a more efficient and secure IT environment.
I love that.
Okay. So we've looked at real world applications, the
Yeah.
challenges,
Mhm.
the need for a strategic approach.
Right.
What about the future?
Okay.
What can we expect to see in the coming years as AI continues to evolve?
Well, the sources offer some pretty intriguing glimpses into the future of AI ops.
Okay, like what?
One trend that's already gaining momentum is the rise of self-healing systems.
Self-healing systems. That sounds straight out of a sci-fi movie.
I know, right?
Are we talking about like robots fixing our servers in the middle of the night?
Not quite robots.
Okay.
But the idea is similar.
All right.
So self-healing systems
Yeah.
use AI to automatically detect and resolve problems
Oh, okay.
without any human intervention.
So it's like having an AI doctor on call 24/7.
Yeah.
Constantly monitoring your systems
Mm-hmm.
and fixing any issues that come up.
Imagine a scenario
Okay.
where a server starts experiencing performance issues.
Right.
A self-healing system could automatically identify that problem,
Okay.
diagnose the root cause,
Mm,
and then take corrective action.
right.
Maybe by restarting a service,
Yeah.
reallocating resources,
Yeah.
or even applying a software patch,
Wow.
all without a human lifting a finger.
That would free up IT teams to focus on,
Yeah,
more strategic work, like
exact.
innovation and planning for the future.
Exactly. Self-healing systems are just one example
Yeah.
of how AI is pushing the boundaries
Right.
of what's possible in IT operations.
Right. The sources also talk about the growing use of AI for security orchestration, automation, and response.
Yes.
So,
So that sounds like a superhero team.
I know, right?
What exactly does it do? So it's all about using AI to automate those repetitive security tasks
Oh, good.
that take up so much of a security analyst's time.
Yeah.
So things like threat intelligence gathering,
Mm-hmm.
vulnerability scanning, incident response,
Right.
all of that can be automated with the help of AI.
So it's like giving those security analysts superpowers.
Exactly.
So they can focus on the more strategic and complex tasks,
Right.
while AI handles the heavy lifting.
Exactly. And AI isn't just about automation.
Okay.
The sources also highlight the increasing importance of AI for decision-making in IT.
Okay.
So it's about using AI to provide those data-driven insights
Mm-hmm.
that can help IT leaders make better choices
Right.
about resource allocation, future planning,
Yeah.
technology investment.
It's like having an AI advisor
Yeah.
that can help you navigate the complexities of the IT landscape.
Exactly. And as AI models become more sophisticated
Yeah.
and easier to understand, we can expect to see even greater trust
Right.
and reliance on AI-powered decision-making.
Wow, this all paints a pretty incredible picture of the future.
It does.
It seems like AI is going to be an essential part of IT operations
It's going to be huge.
moving forward.
Yeah.
Well, it's been an incredible journey exploring all this with you.
It has.
We've covered so much ground, from the history of IT operations to the cutting edge of AI research
Yeah.
and the potential it holds for the future.
Absolutely. It's been a fascinating deep dive.
It has.
And I hope it's given you a better understanding
Yeah,
of how AI is transforming the world of IT operations.
absolutely. I feel like I've learned so much.
Good.
And a big thank you to you for guiding us through all of this complex information.
It's been my pleasure.
And to our listener, thank you for sending us this amazing material.
Yes. Thank you.
We hope this deep dive has been helpful.
We do.
And we encourage you to keep exploring and learning about this exciting field.
Absolutely. Until next time.
Happy deep diving.
Happy deep diving.